Welcome to the Cage Chaos Podcast. I'm here today with Ronald Coleman. Ronald Coleman is a young wrestler and football player that Houston Alexander told us to talk to. Um, Ronald.
Yeah. Ron is
What
fine.
do you prefer? Ron is fine. So,
Ron is
so Ron, let's
yeah.
tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously you're from here in Omaha. Went to Omaha North. Did some
hmm
wrestling. Went on and played some college football. Tell us a little bit about your background. Kind of what brought you to the point you are now.
So first off, it starts off when I was 2 years old. My dad introduced me to the sports of wrestling. I come from a rich wrestling family, so wrestling is really in our blood. It's our lifestyle. My sisters even wrestled as well. So wrestling for me is really the standard and the focal point of my career of my life, and it's really what led me to football. It led me to baseball. It led me to really all the sports I'm doing now, especially now entering to MMA. So I did go to Omaha North, and I was a four-time state champion. Had a great career and chose to play football at Southeast Missouri State. Um, then pretty much after that, I stayed down in the area and started helping train a few guys. Then it kind of got me interested back in fighting again after looking at Daniel Cormier and seeing his body type and his body size. And I was like, he's 5'11", I'm 5'11". He was a two-time state champ. I was a four-time state champ. I'm 27. He won his first belt at like 31 or 32. And I was like, why can't I do it? So it just kind of started my journey over again.
Houston just posted in the live chat and he said, "I don't like Ron Coleman Jr."
There you go. So it's an inside story. Me and Houston have this thing where we hate on each other, and it's funny because a lot of people we comment on each other Facebook pages when we go on live, and we always downplaying each other. So Houston, he's mad because he just never had hair, so that's why Houston's upset.
Mad because he doesn't have hair. So I looked you up on YouTube. Houston told me I had to look you up. Man, all I could find is all of these the Beast highlights. Where did that kind of name come from?
Um, a lot of people, because my favorite Marvel character is the Hulk, and a lot of people I play with, that's just kind of what stuck. Like, dude, you a beast, and that's just kind of what comes to the territory. I love hitting people. I love to be in the first person to make contact. I love head-on collisions, and they're just kind of calling me crazy, call me Burger, which is my nickname, or call me the Beast. It just kind of all came in two when you like physical contact.
Right on. Well, you've kind of made that determination that you're going to get back into MMA. Really, kind of what gave you that determination and made that desire to kind of after being away from sports for a little bit to be able to come back and be part of the MMA world.
Well, the biggest thing was that, my wife, I got a wife down here, I have three children, and like life was good. I have a great career working into the school setting as a counselor, and I'm a youth pastor as well. So life was good, but I just kind of felt like I was missing something. Like I still felt like something was missing. So, like I said, one guy down here was like, "Hey, can you help me train?" And I helped him, and he was like, "Man, why don't you get into the cage?" And I was like, "I'm too old." And he was like, "Bro, like you tripping? Like go and look up some fighters." So that's what spurred me to go look up Dan Cormier, and I just got obsessed, started reading his bio, started watching his life story, and realizing that he won his first belt in his 30s, and I'm like, I'm only 27, and like I said, I looked at the similarities. He's 5'11", I'm 5'11". He was a two-time state champ. I was a four-time state champ. He decided to wrestle in college. I didn't, and I wrestled on national stage for many years and was very successful. I reached out to Houston Alexander and spoke to him about some things, and he was like, "I've been waiting for you to come on board with it." And I called my dad and got my okay with him because my dad has been my best trainer. And then a couple of my friends down here, they linked me to this boxing coach named Danny Reese, which is my trainer and my coach right now. And we got in. He took me in at 6 a.m. and from that day on, we've been rocking and rolling.
That's awesome, man. I mean, what does it mean to have someone that you can call like Houston Alexander in the world? I mean, not everybody has a UFC vet in their back pocket they can call and say, "Hey, you think I should do this? Can you help me get ready for it?" What does it mean to be able to have that for it there?
I mean, honestly, that's a huge blessing for real. Just because, it's interesting how things come full circle. Being called in at 15 years old to help him with wrestling. Now he's helping me in my career. So it's a huge blessing. I'm around a lot of guys who are still trying to scratch the surface and trying to get in and trying to find a way in. And honestly, I'm blessed to have a guy like Houston in my life just to kind of help me, breeze through some of those barriers that I don't have to go through alone. And it just means a lot to be able to gauge myself. Like when I'm fighting and sparring with Houston, a guy that's been, world class and did it at the top level, it helps this to become more realistic.
Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, Houston says you were in the room with him when he's getting ready for the Kimbo Slice fights and some of those fights way back in the day. Obviously you were 17, 18 years old at the time. Tell me a little bit about kind of that environment, kind of what it was like to be in that kind of a room.
Honestly, oh my gosh, it was amazing. Like Houston, I used to train like 3 times a day. So I got called in before his Keith Jardine fight, like 4 weeks before his fight, and just to help him out with wrestling. I really didn't know too much about UFC and MMA at the time. I just loved to wrestle. I love to train, and it's interesting about when we go back and look at the pictures, like seeing Anthony Smith when he was young. Now Anthony Smith is on top. Seeing John Hanson, which John Hanson won Jiu-Jitsu Worlds in like 2016 and 2017. Like all those guys were in our room helping Houston get ready. So I mean, it was fantastic time. Me being a young buck and everybody wanted to go at me because of my wrestling ability and learning off those guys and those guys, learning off of me. It was amazing. Like Houston took me to Chicago. It took me out to California a few times. Like those type of experience being 15, 16, 17, 18 years old was amazing. It really was.
That's awesome. And obviously, kind of open your eyes to the entire MMA world and kind of probably, without that kind of background, probably not sitting there thinking right now about, maybe I should give it a run.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. When you have experience and I was doing that so young, and I mean I'm still young. It just helps make this road a little smoother. And having coaches here that's really really helping. Like Danny Reese is a huge, phenomenal help. Will help me with boxing and stuff like that, and being able to travel back to Omaha and have a team already in place instead of having to go find gyms and be down doors. I already have a lot of resources in place to be successful. So now it's just staying in shape and let's go make this happen.
So, obviously, you're thinking about stuff. I mean, when are you prepared to make that first step into the cage?
Well, actually, I was supposed to have a fight this March, but because of the coronavirus and stuff like that, that kind of put us in the back seat. So they actually rescheduled the fight down here for June 12th. So we're just waiting to see if that's still a go. If that's still a go, then it's time to get in the ring and make it happen. I know I reached out to some people in Omaha. They have a fight in August that I'm trying to get on a card as well. Like, I'm ready to make this happen. I'm ready to get in the cage.
That's awesome, man. I mean, Houston talks about you being a natural heavyweight. Obviously you're a little bit shorter for a heavyweight, but you're a kind of a big, stocky guy. Where does that kind of give you an advantage in the cage, especially with your wrestling background?
I mean, I think it gives me a huge advantage because when I think about just fighting in general, everybody has a puncher's chance. Everybody has a fighting chance. Everybody has a kicking chance. Even if everybody have a submitting chance. But if you just isolate the sport of wrestling, if you can't wrestle, then you can't wrestle. You don't have just a random wrestling chance. Like if we go outside and start fighting and a guy can hit me, boom, I could be knocked out. Or I can hit him, vice versa. He could be knocked out. The same with jiu-jitsu and the same with karate or any type of martial arts. But when it comes to wrestling, if you don't know how to wrestle, you don't have a wrestling chance. And when it speaks about just isolating the sport, so I think with my wrestling ability, that really takes me to a high level. One time in the UFC, all 8 champs, I believe, were former wrestlers that had some type of wrestling background. And it's the hardest martial art to me to learn because it's just a flow that comes with it that if you don't have it, you don't have it.
And obviously, especially in that heavyweight division, obviously everybody's always got that puncher's chance. Well, you look at Francis Ngannou, you look at Daniel Cormier, you look at those guys. There's a a lot. There's a lot of these guys are getting older. It gives you kind of an opportunity, even at 27 years old, you can do a couple of years of amateur fights and kind of break into those ranks before you're 30 and still be on the younger side of things.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to fighting all of those guys. If time forbid, and they're still, active in their careers. That's one thing about me. I study a lot of film. I study footwork. And the thing about me, when it comes to wrestling, especially in regards to UFC, I'm not a traditional wrestler as you see. You see a lot of regular double legs or shooting on shots. Like, I'm bringing full techniques into wrestling, into the cage. And I mean, it's kind of hard to explain what you'll see, when I get out there and start fighting. But the thing is, like Houston mentioned, that I move like a little guy, and I credit a lot of that to my dad. My dad never looked at me as a big guy, even though I always was, and he never, held me to that standard of being a big guy. It's always, footwork, move your feet, be fast, be the fastest one out there, whether it's sprints, be the fastest one with your shots. And he always said if I could conquer running it, I could conquer anything. So using my speed and agility has always been, foremost in my eyes. And now that the package is coming together, I'm just kind of ready to put it on display.
Well, man, hey, I got to probably wrap this up pretty quick here. I got one last question for you before we get out of here. And it's something I asked Houston, I loved Houston's response to this, but fantasy MMA matchup. Obviously you like the sport, you've been a fan of it. If you could put two people in the ring at one time in their prime, who are those two people?
Me and Daniel Cormier in his prime. And the reason why I said that, because you got the same body. Yeah, we got the same body type, same wrestling background. And I mean, my thing is, I always want to go after the best. Like, I feel like if you're going to do any sport, if you're not going after the best, then you shouldn't do it. That's always been my mentality. That's been instilled in me from my dad. So my thing is, I want the best. And right now, he's always kind of has been the best. And that's why I would love to have that fantasy match with. Or just train with him and be in his gym. That'll work too.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, you know what? Maybe Houston can get you out there to AKA and you get some rounds in with him.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Well, hey, man, thanks for your time. Sorry for the kind of short notice here and stuff. I mean, obviously we rescheduled this a couple of times. Tell everybody that's watching that may watch this how they can follow you and kind of stay around your career.
Easy. So Facebook, Ronald Coleman Jr. My name would be Ron the Servant Coleman. That's also under Instagram and Twitter as well, Ron the Servant Coleman. And just kind of stay tuned. It's going to happen.
Right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in to Cage Chaos right here on MMA Futures. Be sure to subscribe and give us a like. And Ron, I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon in the near future.
We will. All glory to God, and he's going to lead the way.
All right.